Fishing isn't always predictable.
Oh my God!
Sometimes the ocean has the capacity to surprise us with catches beyond our wildest dreams.
Oh my God, look at that barracuda!
From majestic beasts to mysterious fish, these waters are filled with incredible creatures. So tag along for the scariest encounters that will stop you from going fishing ever again. Korim Fish. In Santana, a group of fishermen made a catch from the river that they were not prepared for. At first, it seemed like just another fish struggling on the line, but as it emerged from the water, its sheer size took their breath away. The shining giant was revealed to be a Korim, a beautiful creature with a shiny body. Its mouth, wide enough to swallow a watermelon whole, further added to its impressive form. The catch measured 2 meters long and weighed 176 pounds. This rare find left everyone speechless. Goliath Fish. Beneath the surface of the river, an enormous shape moved. A fisherman, unaware of what lay below him, felt a heavy tug on his line. As he reeled it in, the creature emerged, revealing a big, strong body, a wide head and tiny eyes. Its rough brown skin had spots, and the mouth was so wide it could easily consume crabs and smaller fish. And with its large, round fins, it flowed through the water effortlessly.
That's huge. That's giant.
This amazing catch was a Goliath fish, which was around 8 feet long. So best of luck during your next fishing adventure, 'cause you never know what might come up. River Mystery. At the edge of the river, an ecologist ended up with a huge catch. The creature's long body was covered in bony plates along its sides. With a flat snout instead of normal fish scales, it appeared as if it had emerged from a forgotten era, a living fossil of the deep waters. It was a sturgeon. Its tail was unique, weighing around 350 pounds and measuring up to 8.5 feet long, which was quite impressive.
Hey ragazzi, ci siamo! Abbiamo fatto...
Unfortunately, the sturgeon pushed away from the shore and slipped right back into the deep waters. It vanished like a ghost from another time. Barracuda. On the rocky riverbank, a limnologist prepared to cast his line, and suddenly, a powerful tug nearly pulled the rod from his hands. With a splash, a massive barracuda burst from the river. Its snake-like body shines with sharp fangs.
Ah! That's a monster!
The fish thrashed wildly, showing off its big head and scary look.
Oh my God, look at that barracuda!
The limnologist's eyes widened in amazement. This was no ordinary day of freshwater research. He'd stumbled upon a thrilling adventure, face to face with one of nature's fiercest beings, the barracuda. Shark. A researcher stood on the icy surface. His eyes were fixed on a hole in the ice, as he was about to make an unusual discovery. Inside the depths lay a Greenland shark with a large body and sharp teeth, perfect for hunting its prey. Sadly, the shark was unwell and wasn't breathing.
2, 3. It still feels like it's stuck.
So, they ended up examining it instead. Dancing fish. Expecting an ordinary catch of fish, this Singapore fisherman instead pulled up a living mystery from the depths of the water. The creature looked just like a star with long, bendy arms that twisted and waved gracefully. An incredible find indeed. Would you like to catch it? Let me know in the comments section down below. Shark meal. This fisherman caught something. Too bad for him. It ended up becoming a shark's meal. On the coast, he was fighting to reel in a huge tuna when suddenly a great white shark appeared out of nowhere. In a flash, the shark lunged. It snatched the tuna right off the fishing line and vanished under the water. As the waves settled, the fishermen realized something. In nature, every creature fights for food. Whether it's a person fishing or a shark hunting, everyone needs to eat to survive. Big lip fish. Beachgoers spotted an unusual marine creature, quickly dubbed the Travis Scott fish. It had big, pouty lips and a mouthful of teeth that looked just like a human's, as if it was ready to take a selfie. And this Travis Scott fish video spread like wildfire online. Some wondered if it was a new species, or perhaps a bizarre crossbreed. Others speculated it might even speak like a human. Curiosity remains, though, as the mystery of the fish remains unsolved. Sword catch. Nothing could have prepared these fishermen for what they were about to find in the water. A big crane was used just to lift their catch and bring it out. Now this fish had a smooth body and a long, pointed rostrum extending from its snout, looking just like a sword. Its tiny eyes were barely open. What kind of fish was this?
Get it down, guys. Get it down.
It was a swordfish, a true wonder of the deep sea that sparked excitement among all those who witnessed it. Black marlin. In the waters of Queensland, Australia, a fishery scientist's routine fishing trip took an unexpected turn when he found this. A massive fish that had to be lifted with the help of a crane. It weighed 1,433 pounds, about as heavy as 10 grown adults combined. This fish grew over 25 years into a giant of the sea. It was a black marlin. Sadly, this marlin couldn't be eaten because it had too much mercury, which can make people sick. While this mercury content in its body might be caused by pollution, it doesn't seem to be a big threat to the species as a whole. Poisonous catch. Legends of the lake whispered of a fearsome being, one of the most dangerous fish, and one fisherman set out to capture and reel it in. This was no ordinary fish. It was tough to catch, and one of the most frightening, biggest, and the angriest ever. Known for its sharp teeth, it was enormous, with tough skin and eyes as big as golf balls. Its body was similar to a snake, with patterned fins and 2 long tentacles waving from its mouth. In a flash, this mighty fish vanished into the deep waters, leaving only ripples behind. Turns out, it was a tapa. The water soon settled, as if this creature was never caught, disappearing into the lake's mystery. Fish give happiness. From the depths of the ocean, a remarkable catch broke the water surface. A sailor had hooked a giant tuna, its sleek body covered in shiny black scales with a huge tail. This fish was so strong that the sailor had to tie a rope around its tail before he could even attempt to pull it in. However, with all his strength and using a fishing rod, he finally brought it onto the ship. That night, they may have enjoyed a special feast: fresh tuna. This catch would certainly be a meal to remember for a long time. Batfish. In 2020, a strange discovery awaited the fishermen near Mangalore Rock in India. They found 2 enormous beings gliding beneath the water surface. With their wide fins and flat bodies, they resembled underwater bats. Known as manta rays, these fish have smooth, dark skin and can grow very large. These manta rays were so heavy that they needed cranes to lift them from the water. The man who caught this stated that he might not be selling these. Instead, he would hand them over to the authorities for preservation. Kog Serpent. Tourists at the Black Sea were filming beneath the beautiful blue water when a strange creature caught their eye. At first, they thought it was just a large fish. But then, a huge creature resembling a dinosaur burst out of the waves. They had encountered the legendary Kog sea serpent. Its body was long, covered in shiny scales that looked like stone. The serpent's head was massive, reminiscent of an alligator's snout, complete with numerous sharp teeth. The amazing footage spread like wildfire, and soon the whole world was buzzing about the serpent of the Black Sea. Texas secret. Two buddies went fishing on a river in Texas and used smelly bait to attract big catches. Suddenly, they reeled in these two creatures.
No way! It's bigger than me!
These were enormous. One even weighed as much as a grown man. The alligator gars were so strong that they had to tangle their lines in nearby trees. As the giant gars swam away, their smooth bodies swimming through the river's depths. Giant snake. A team of zoologists found a giant anaconda that slithered into view in a Queensland, Australia field. This massive snake weighed over 1,400 pounds, enough to easily overpower a person. Concerned for the safety of the locals, the team decided to relocate this snake. They carefully loaded the anaconda onto their boat, and as they traveled, they wondered about the sheer size of this serpent. Finally, they reached a jungle far away from any field, and they set the giant anaconda free. The anaconda seemed to be happy in its new habitat, and in doing so, these guys not only saved human lives, but also protected the anaconda. Prehistoric Giant. A team of fish experts pulled up huge 7-foot specimens. Their long body was covered in thick, tough scales, and its head was lined with rows of sharp teeth. These were not ordinary fish. They were ancient, giant gars.
Yeah, I was afraid we weren't even going to see an alligator gar, but man, we catch the first.
Suddenly, this huge fish shook wildly and almost slipped back into the water. Had they just let a living fossil slip away? Yes, they did, but the memory of these ancient jaws stayed with them though, leaving them wondering about the one that got away. Massive trout. A diver dived into the deep blue ocean when, out of nowhere, a massive fish broke the surface. The strange part? Its two large teeth resembled tusks. As the diver observed it, the fish turned out to be a black trout. After carefully putting it back into the ocean, the fish swam away smoothly, leaving behind a trail of sparkling water. It was a magical moment that would remain unforgettable for both the diver and, perhaps, the trout. Shark moves. As the boat gently rocked off Tasmania's north coast, no one could have predicted the shocking encounter that was about to happen with the riders. Suddenly, the boat jolted. A massive creature had crashed into it. Its powerful jaws damaged the front 5.7 m of the boat. Then, it swung around, its huge tail splashing out of the water. It was a great white shark, about 4 m long, and the boat might have ended up sinking. It was also a scary reminder never to enter the waters infested with these sharks. Shark look alike. Hidden in the shadowy depths of the river, researchers made a surprising discovery, however. They had to struggle a lot to see it. One of them even had to land in its home to get it. It was a fish that looked a lot like a shark. When underwater, its body gave off a strange glow, but when it was taken out of the water, it faded to a dull, dusty color.
That is a serious size gunge.
That is a man-sized animal.
Weighing as much as an adult human, this creature sported 6 robust fins and a small head with tiny, bright eyes and dark spots. Here is the revelation of this secret find. It was a goonch catfish. Finally, researchers got what they were looking for. Sailor Dreamfish. A sailor's ordinary day turned into an exciting one when he caught a fish unlike any other. The catfish he pulled out from the water was huge, half still in the sea and half towering over him, bigger than the sailor himself. He pulled it near the bank to film with it, then opened its wide mouth, which almost seemed to ask, "Where am I?" as he prepared to show his catch to his audience. The sailor stood amazed, capturing every second of the attention. This moment would stay with him forever, something he would always remember and share for years. Big net. A buzz started in a Sri Lankan village when locals discovered a strange fish. 2 tons of them flopped on land, their bodies splashing in the water, looking like a big bag of life fighting for breath. The villagers wondered about these mysterious fish. It might help grow their fishing business. They even hoped it would provide nutrition for those who didn't have enough to eat. Should these villagers keep these strange fish or return them to the sea? What do you guys think? Tell us down below. Giant bone.
That is a scapula, huh? Yep.
While exploring a riverbed, a group of fossil hunters discovered a giant bone. It looked like a massive shoulder bone, wide, heavy, and dark in color. Even though it was ancient, it was still in an amazing shape and it belonged to an ancient Columbian mammoth. Could there be more bones of this magnificent mammoth hidden below? Maybe even an entire specimen, larger than anything they'd seen before, was just waiting to be discovered. Blue creature. The scientists were thrilled by the excitement of their big catch in the ocean as they struggled to pull in this large fish by its head. The surprising part, it was a marlin. After quite a tough battle, they finally got the marlin next to their boat and hoped this remarkable fish might teach them new things about the ocean. Word of advice to the marlin, next time, maybe don't take the bait. Hook, line, and sinker. Bluefish.
It is such a gorgeous fish. It's actually hard to believe that there's fish like
A vibrant fish emerged from the ocean as a deckhand pulled it from the water. Its mouth looked like a yellow beak, perfect for munching on coral. Much to his surprise, it was a parrot fish. Now, instead of becoming someone's dinner, this flashy fellow swam into the fisherman's personal hall of fame. It'll be the star of his "You Won't Believe What I Caught" collection, reminding everyone how the ocean's filled with surprises. Unique fish. Meet the predator of the deep, a fish with a long, thin body and black spots. But what stood out were its eyes, big and watchful, just like an owl's. But its most fascinating trait was its impressive set of sharp, fang-like teeth that made it a fierce hunter. An aquaculturist studied a fish called Anarchaeus minor. Could this unique fish, with its beautiful colors and wild nature, make a great pet for fish lovers? You tell us. Chef fish. The chefs in Brazil got a huge surprise in the form of a massive fish. It measured 2.9 meters long and weighed 220 kilograms. The fish was caught far from the city of Manaus. The pirarucu scales shimmered silver and muddy in color, and its big tail moves gracefully. It might serve an important purpose. It could feed families, providing nourishment and sustenance for the community. A giant pirarucu promised to feed many in the Amazon. Huge eel. This diver's catch turned into a week-long feast. While exploring underwater, there, hidden in a hole, was a huge eel. Its long, smooth body shone in shades of green and brown, and its eyes gleamed. It weighed almost 37 pounds, looking almost like a dragon. The diver must have looked forward to trying different eel recipes, wondering how many ways it could be cooked. It must have been a memorable adventure in ocean dining. Poisonous fish. In the jungles of Colombia, a fishing team was ready to hook a huge fish. But when they pulled up their catch, they couldn't believe what they saw. The fish they caught was covered in sharp spines and had a hairy head. Its eyes looked like a monster movie.
He's got spines.
I'm just gonna jerk him in.
He's got spines. Oh.
This wasn't just any fish, though. It was an Acanthocus hystrix. The team carefully took pictures of their amazing find before gently releasing it back into the murky waters, where it quickly disappeared. Horseshoe crab. The shell of this next catch was hard as a rock, and underneath it, lots of tiny, spiky legs wiggled around. Two buddies had ended up catching a super creepy horseshoe crab. It had a long, sharp tail. After a quick look, they carefully threw it back into the water, realizing this ancient crab was even stranger than they initially thought. They wondered how horseshoe crabs could survive in both water and on land. leaving them curious, of course. Peacock Bass. With a flick of the line, this boatman caught an amazing fish. The fish's body was bright yellow. It had a big black spot on the body with vibrant fins that made it look extra special. It was a huge peacock bass. And when the fish opened its mouth, he saw it had a super long tongue. The boater was so amazed he couldn't take his eyes off the beautiful peacock bass swimming below. Whale's catfish. In the shadows of the river, a man saw this huge fish and aimed to catch it. First, he measured its length, then opened its mouth, which was so enormous that its ribs were prominent and he could fit his entire fist inside. A strange echo resonated from its gaping jaws, capturing his curiosity like a haunting whisper. After zipping the bag, he realized it was a catfish. Weighing it, he then felt compelled to set it free. And as the catfish swam away swiftly, it seemed almost joyful to return to the depths where it had come from. Mekong catfish. A dream came true for this man when he saw a giant fish swimming in this lake. Its body sparkled gray and green, covered in smooth, slippery scales. This was a catfish which was incredibly heavy, 297 pounds. It splashed and fought hard as the man tried to pull it in. His muscles strained, but he didn't give up. Finally, he got the massive fish into his boat. His heart beat with excitement. Looking at the giant catfish, the man realized this wasn't just a regular catch. Hammerhead Shark. Hydrobiologists set out to catch a giant fish. Suddenly, a massive shark snatched a black tip right off their line, and its name was Hammerhead Shark, and it put on quite an incredible show. The battle for reeling. This enormous shark ran for hours. They measured it was 14 feet and 7 inches, bigger than any world record. As they wondered at their remarkable catch, that remained unforgettable, forever in their memories as the day of the giant hammerhead. Half shark. Marine biologists spotted a shark, once a feared predator, now floated lifelessly. Half of its body was gone. Would they be brave enough to take a bite? Or would a bigger predator come along to finish the job? This dark scene was a clear reminder. In the vast ocean, no creature is truly safe. Even strong hunters can become prey. Life underwater is a constant dance of eating and being eaten. Fishing techniques. For centuries, people have come up with smart ways to catch fish. And one fascinating technique in Alaska involved a fish wheel, a gadget that scooped up salmon as they swam upstream. The fish think they're just swimming, but instead, they find themselves in the fisherman's bucket. Another inventive method uses a super long fishing line with multiple hooks. Fishermen toss it into the water, wait a bit, and when they reel it back in, they pull up a whole bunch of fish. It's like fishing made easy. And then in Japan, fishermen create a splash by throwing food into the water, attracting hundreds of tuna. Before the fish know what's happening, they're caught in a delicious fishy feast. These techniques showcase human creativity at its finest. Faceless fish. Australian researchers made an amazing discovery deep in the ocean, as they found a strange fish living 13,000 feet underwater. This weird creature had no visible eyes or even a face. The fish, called a faceless cusk, lives where it's very cold, about 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Smaller ones do have eyes, but they're hidden under their skin. This isn't the first sighting of this fish, however. It was originally discovered in 1874, more than a century ago. And now, after all this time, researchers have found it again. They're excited to learn more about this mysterious fish without a face. Monkfish. In the deep dark waters, a strange sight appeared, stirring tales of the unknown. Ichthyologists discovered a scary-looking fish. Its head was wide and flat, with a huge mouth full of sharp teeth. The fish's body had dark brown patterns and slimy, spiky fins along its sides. This was a monkfish, with small eyes that stared oddly. As the scientists looked at this monkfish, they thought it might have inspired stories of sea monsters. Greenland Fish. This sailor got a surprise of his lifetime on this fishing trip when he caught the net. The huge fish had a thick, gray body. Using a crane, the sailor carefully examined and found out it was a Greenland shark. He lifted it into a special chamber of his ship. After a few moments, he then let the big shark push back into the ocean. As he watched the ancient predator swim smoothly, he felt happy. By letting the shark go, it showed how important it is to protect ocean life. These silent guardians of the sea need our help to keep the oceans healthy. Solitary fish. An aquanaut spotted a fish like no other. It had a long, silvery body that sparkled, and its mouth revealed rows of sharp teeth. As it slowly turned around, it was a single-eyed cyclopsid, which looked scarier than ever, its predatory nature making it seem alive. Now, marine biologists were excitedly searching the deep sea, hoping to learn more about these one-eyed fish, and needed to assess safety for consumption before anyone dared to include it in their diet. Scary skeleton. A photographer was walking along the beach when he stumbled upon a skeleton. But this was no ordinary set of bones. The skull seemed human, but where the legs should have been, there was a fish-like tail. He picked it up, his hands shaking. Could it be a young mermaid? Maybe a big shark had gotten it? He dropped it quickly, spooked by the whole thing. Word spread fast about the discovery. Some thought it was real, but one thing was sure. That strange skeleton left everyone with more questions than answers. Anaconda. A guy on the riverbank was on his phone ready to capture the sight when a huge anaconda in the water glided by. Its dark body was smooth and powerful. Check this out.
Oh, moleque. Vai embora.
He whispered excitedly to his viewers. His heart beat fast, reaching out. He did the unthinkable. He lightly touched the snake's cool skin. Good for him, the anaconda didn't seem to mind, swimming on calmly. Maybe he'd been a little too brave. As he made his way home, he couldn't shake the feeling that he just had a very close call with one of nature's most impressive anacondas. Clever catch. In a village, a clever boy ended up discovering a new way to catch fish. Wow. When the river flooded their fields. He grabbed a big steel container and placed it where the water rushed, and then dragged it with his hands, scooping up the fish effortlessly. Some wondered if they might catch bigger ones next time. From that day on, fishing became a fun game for the whole village. The boy's smart idea turned a tough situation into a productive activity. Primitive technique. On the lake, an old man stood with a strange fishing rod. It was just a bamboo stick with a ring at the end. He moved it in a circular motion, then quickly dipped it into a nearby basket. The old man's method was passed down from long ago. How could anyone catch fish like that? It looked so hard. Even though it was tricky to understand, the old way of fishing was special. It showed how clever people were in the past, making do with what they had. Plastic bottle. A boy stood by the river holding a weird fishing rod. He'd made it from an old plastic bottle stuck on 4 sticks on the riverbank. His fishing line was tied to a bent wire for a hook. After 3 long hours, the boy suddenly pulled hard, making the plastic bottle bend. It was a really big, shiny fish. He quickly put it in a container. Everyone was shocked after watching this clip. Who knew an old bottle could catch such a big fish, right? It just showed that with some creativity and lots of patience, amazing things can happen. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. In a busy seaside town, inventors created a funny new way to catch fish. They made huge boats with special nets and used watermelons to attract fish. The boats dropped melons into the ocean, where they floated and smelled good, making the fish curious. The fishermen then spread their nets, and as soon as many fish gathered around the melons, a loud siren would go off, telling everyone to collect the catch, essentially turning it into a big fish party. This strange but clever trick helped fishermen catch hundreds of tons of fish all at once. Who knew melons could be so useful?